the most powerful media machine in history. Most people think YouTube is a video platform. It isn't. YouTube is a behavioral engineering system. Because for the first time in human history, an algorithm can influence billions of people simultaneously. Every hour, every day, every year. And most users still believe they are choosing what they watch freely. But underneath the surface, something much darker is happening. Because YouTube is not merely competing for views anymore. It is competing for human attention itself. And attention became one of the most valuable resources on Earth. This changed civilization permanently. Because whoever controls attention eventually controls behavior, emotion, culture, belief systems, economic activity, and YouTube became one of the most powerful attention systems humanity ever created. YouTube turned attention into an economy. Before the internet, human attention was fragmented naturally. Television had limits. Geography had limits. Distribution had limits. But YouTube removed all of them. Now billions of humans consume content continuously, at planetary scale. This created something unprecedented. The monetization of human consciousness. Because every second of attention now generates advertising revenue, behavioral data, algorithmic feedback, psychological insight. And once attention became measurable, it became optimizable. This changed media forever. Content stopped competing purely on quality. It began competing on retention, emotion, addiction, watch time. Because the longer humans remain engaged, the more profitable they become. The algorithm understands human psychology. One of the most terrifying truths about YouTube is that the algorithm does not care about truth. It cares about attention. And attention follows psychology. Fear, curiosity, outrage, validation, dopamine, which means the platform naturally amplifies content triggering emotional reactions. This is why controversy spreads rapidly, outrage performs well, emotionally intense thumbnails dominate, sensationalism often outperforms nuance. Because emotionally activated humans watch longer, and longer watch time creates more revenue. The system optimizes behavior continuously, quietly, relentlessly. YouTube rewired human attention spans. Human attention evolved slowly. YouTube evolved exponentially. This created a dangerous imbalance. Because the platform trained billions of people for constant stimulation, instant gratification, rapid novelty, endless consumption. And over time, this changed cognition itself. People increasingly struggle with deep focus, patience, sustained concentration, long-form thinking, because the brain adapts to repeated behavioral environments. And YouTube became one of the largest behavioral environments on Earth. This may become one of the biggest psychological transformations of the digital era. Not simply entertainment change, but attention restructuring at global scale. The platform rewards addiction. The business model depends on retention, which means YouTube profits when users stay longer, binge content, emotionally react, continuously return. This creates a dangerous incentive structure because the system naturally rewards emotional intensity, psychological hooks, dopamine loops, escalating stimulation. Creators learned this quickly, which is why modern content increasingly prioritizes fast pacing, shocking titles, aggressive thumbnails, emotional manipulation, curiosity engineering. The platform does not explicitly force this behavior. The algorithm incentivizes it indirectly, and incentives shape culture. Content creators became psychologists. The biggest creators on YouTube are no longer simply entertainers. They are attention engineers. Because success increasingly depends on understanding retention psychology, emotional pacing, curiosity loops, dopamine triggers, audience behavior. This is why top creators obsess over click-through rate, audience retention, watch time, thumbnail psychology, emotional engagement, because the algorithm rewards content maximizing psychological capture. And eventually, creators stop optimizing for expression. They optimize for behavioral performance. The platform quietly shapes culture. Most people underestimate how much YouTube influences society. Because billions consume political narratives, financial beliefs, social values, lifestyle aspirations, emotional worldviews through the platform constantly, and recommendation systems determine what spreads. This creates enormous cultural influence because algorithms increasingly shape what becomes popular, what disappears, what society discusses, what people emotionally react to, and most users never fully realize how heavily recommendation systems shape perception itself. Virality changed human behavior. YouTube also transformed incentives. Visibility became currency, which means people increasingly optimize behavior for views, engagement, virality, relevance. This changes human psychology profoundly. Because once visibility becomes monetizable, attention becomes survival. And eventually, people begin performing identity itself. For the algorithm, this is why modern internet culture often feels exaggerated, because emotional intensity performs better than emotional balance. The system rewards amplification, not moderation. YouTube created digital celebrities faster than Hollywood ever could. Traditional fame required studios, television, gatekeepers, massive infrastructure. YouTube destroyed those barriers. Now individuals can build global audiences independently. This changed media power permanently because creators became mini media empires, and some influencers now possess more influence, more audience trust, more engagement than traditional celebrities ever had. This created a new form of power, algorithmic fame. And algorithmic fame scales globally. The algorithm quietly decides who wins. One of the strangest aspects of YouTube is that creators never fully control growth. The algorithm determines visibility, which means invisible systems increasingly shape success, income, influence, digital survival, and this creates psychological dependency. Creators constantly adapt behavior around recommendation systems, retention metrics, platform incentives. Because once livelihoods depend on algorithms, algorithms gain enormous influence over human behavior. YouTube turned human emotion into data. Every click, every pause, every emotional reaction, every second watched, now becomes behavioral data. And behavioral data became one of the most valuable resources on Earth. Because once human behavior becomes predictable, it becomes influenceable. This is why platforms aggressively optimize recommendation systems, behavioral prediction, emotional targeting, retention engineering, and eventually, algorithms may understand audience psychology better than creators themselves. AI may make YouTube far more powerful. Artificial intelligence may transform YouTube dramatically. Because AI can optimize thumbnails, titles, emotional pacing, recommendation systems, behavioral targeting at massive scale. Future systems may personalize content individually for every viewer psychologically. This creates a terrifying possibility. A world where algorithms continuously adapt media environments around human weakness itself, not through force, but through optimization. And optimization may become one of the most powerful forms of invisible control in modern society. The platform profits from your attention. The frightening truth about YouTube is that the product is not videos. The product is human attention. And once attention becomes monetized, the system naturally evolves toward maximum psychological capture. This is why people often open YouTube for 5 minutes and leave hours later. Because the platform was engineered for behavioral retention, not conscious consumption. And most people still underestimate how deeply this shapes their lives. The most powerful systems feel like entertainment. Throughout history, powerful systems controlled information, economics, communication, distribution. But YouTube controls something even more psychologically important: attention itself. And attention shapes reality. Because whatever humans consistently pay attention to eventually shapes thoughts, beliefs, desires, identity, culture. This may be the insane truth about YouTube. People believed they were simply watching videos, without realizing they were participating in one of the largest behavioral experiments in human history. Because YouTube is no longer merely entertainment, it is one of the most powerful psychological systems civilization has ever created. Subscribe to Wealth OS for more documentaries on wealth, power, AI, and the hidden psychology behind modern society.